Hey! Have you ever wondered, why do we exercise? Why do we physically stress ourselves to the point of pain and sweat and tears? Well, an easy answer would be to be healthy, to get better at sports we love so much. But life never is that easy, is it? That's why I wanted to dive deeper and find out how our brains work when it comes to physical activity. And it's quite intriguing how psychology might explain some typical characteristics in the field of fitness. Join me on a journey to discover ourselves. My experience in sports is ongoing, starting as a little boy interested in climbing trees and kicking balls. Fortunately, I was put to gymnastics and football classes. With my continued interest in being active, I evolved from being an athlete to coaching. I would want to believe I'm exercising because I want to be healthy, gain energy and learn new skills from it. Looking back, I see that this objective has not been so clear and the motive has changed quite a bit. As a young competitive athlete, I wanted to win competitions and try hard challenges. This was a time where my brain could not think about the work we have to put in or the mindset needed to be self-sustainable athlete. I thought about the end goal more than the process itself. Chimps would be proud. But this is not about me. Understanding the psychological aspects of sports helps us all appreciate the immense mental resilience athletes must cultivate. From managing risk and motivation to addressing training addictions and eating disorders, sports psychology provides the tools to support anyone dealing with this kind of psychological stress. But you gotta risk it for the biscuit, right? Like an Australian writer, John Marsden, said, the biggest risk is to take no risk or to take crazy risks. I think risk management is a good place to start from. The benefits of participation in sport, exercise and physical activity are widely broadcasted. But there remains a risk that participation in any of these activities may result in injury. There are different levels of risk associated with different sports. The risk levels relate to the characteristics of the sport, the rules of the sport, and respect for fellow teammates and competitors. Sports governing bodies, coaches, sports medicine professionals, and all parties involved have a responsibility towards the athletes and spectators to manage the risks involved. These can include aspects such as the identification and characterization of risks that are involved in specific sports and to provide guidance on mitigating and managing these risks. First, you have to assess the risk. You must consider many factors, for example, internal risk factors such as age, sex, health, body composition, fitness levels, anatomy, and skill level that predisposes an athlete to an injury, or exposure to external risk factors such as human factors, protective equipment, sports equipment, and the environment which will make the athlete susceptible to injury, or the occurrence of an inciting event that causes an injury such as joint motion, playing situations, training program, and the match schedule. Or, of course, this is where our monkey brain comes into play again. Sensation seeking and impulsivity play significant roles. For example, sensation seekers thrive on the adrenaline rush that comes from high-risk activities, sometimes overestimating their own abilities. It all has to do with the environment you were raised in and your genetics, which makes us release chemicals in our bodies in a unique way that sometimes interrupts us from being rational human beings. One of them is a chemical called dopamine that plays a significant role in many factors, such as motivation. Motivation is the heartbeat of an athlete's performance. It drives them to push boundaries and reach new heights. It's a cause of behavior that affects the direction and intensity of an individual's effort. Therefore, motivation is directly linked to personality. One way personality traits are categorized is in an introverted-extroverted spectrum and stable to unstable behavior patterns. For example, a stable extrovert would be outgoing and carefree, whereas a stable introvert would be careful and reliable. Motivation in sports can be intrinsic or extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation comes from within, the sheer love for the game or personal satisfaction. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, involves external rewards like fame, money, or recognition. There is also an achievement motivation model where the drive comes from the need of affiliation, power, or achievement. In my experience, intrinsic motivation is the most sustainable one, but high-level competitions are looking for something more. The X factor. Cristiano Ronaldo exemplifies a blend of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. While his passion for football drives him, the adoration of fans and the pursuit of records also fuel his relentless pursuit of excellence. Breaking every record in football might be very empowering and make you very confident. But is it sustainable in the long run? Well, as we age, we should re-evaluate our abilities and motivation. Counting on peak performance in your 40s is foolish. There may be a way to still compete, using your experience to get a head start, but at some point it will be irrational to not step down and let the next generation take over. Otherwise, it might become an illusion of overconfidence, assessing your abilities wrong. Confidence is an element of preparation that encompasses concentration, commitment, self-confidence and emotional control. It has the power to elicit many positive outcomes, such as arouse positive emotions, remain calm under pressure, facilitate concentration, increase effort, be assertive, and enable appropriate focus. Self-confidence is the belief that you have the ability to meet the demands of the situation, such as winning. Self-esteem is the way we judge ourselves in a positive or negative way. Social facilitation looks at the influence of the presence of others in performance in a positive way, whereas social inhibition looks at the negative influence caused by the presence of others. There is a weird placebo-like occurrence called self-fulfilling prophecy, which is a prediction that directly or indirectly causes itself to meet a previous prediction of success or failure. For example, keep telling yourself you are a loser and never be as strong as Arnold. This can cause you to become a loser. When motivation and confidence comes from a wrong source, it might lead to some horrible psychological problems such as addiction. When the desire to improve turns into an obsession, it can have detrimental effects. Training addiction occurs when athletes train excessively, ignoring signs of injury or fatigue. This can lead to overtraining syndrome, characterized by decreased performance, chronic injuries, and mental burnout. Many athletes, driven by the fear of falling behind, push through pain and fatigue, risking long-term damage to their bodies and minds. This was evident in the case of Olympic swimmer Ian Thorpe, whose relentless training regime contributed to his premature retirement due to injury. Another critical issue in sports psychology is eating disorders. The pressure to maintain a certain body image or weight can lead to unhealthy eating behaviors. Sports like gymnastics, wrestling, and running often emphasize weight and aesthetics. Athletes may develop conditions like anorexia nervosa or bulimia to meet these demands. Nadia Comaneci, the first gymnast to score a perfect 10, also faced eating disorder challenges during her career, highlighting how even the most successful athletes are not immune to these pressures. Eating disorders might come to be a component of another psychological disorder called body dysmorphia. It is a mental health condition where a person spends a lot of time worrying about flaws in their appearance. These flaws are often unnoticeable to others, with social media creating unrealistic expectations. It's most common in teenagers and young adults. It affects both men and women. To be friends with physical exercise, I would suggest to focus on your intrinsic values for motivation and never compare yourself with anyone else other than your yesterday's self. Reaching your best self will eventually need more motivation from external elements as well to outperform your best performance. Just don't punish yourself too hard and don't take life too seriously. Enjoy the little things. Enjoy the process. These are just a handful of ideas sports psychology has to offer. Hopefully it made you think and gave you some useful information. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you liked it, let me know. Now, go on with your life and stay active.